Today's episode of If We Ran Nintendo is brought to you by the amazing patrons over on patreon.com/YouMeCapri. We have amazing people such as Gold producer Andrew Semachek, Brendan Myers, James Johnson, Dr. Doom, Ryan Turford, Coach Timbo. We have the platinum producer of Mr. Mark Moody, the glorious one, diamond executive producers Bobby Miller, Jonathan Brown, Lee Navarro, Ted, and we have three new patrons, Jason Lacey, Sheldon Benedict, and Mr. Corey Hicks, back at it yet again. Let's get back to the show.
If We Ran Nintendo.
What is up, everybody, and welcome to episode 152 of If We Ran Nintendo. I am Bobby, the Nintendo Guru, joined by the greatest co-host in all the land, Mr. Sean Capri. What's up, Sean?
Finally, the Sean has come back to If We Ran Nintendo since last week. Bobby, we're here. Look, guys, this is a week to watch the video over at youtube.com/Nintendo Guru because Bobby and I are looking pretty cute this week, everybody.
You need to stop that.
We're like mirror images of each other. We got these big Bubba Ray Dudley glasses on. We got we got our cute red shirts on.
And I also have the big Bubba Ray bus head, so that's good to know.
What does your shirt say? It says 84 something, which is the year I was born in.
It's really? It's a Cobra Kai shirt.
That's a sweet shirt.
It's the All Valley. It's like the All Valley thing with the Cobra Kai logo.
You kind of gave your chest like a nice little gentle rub there, Bobby. Yeah, that's nice. You get some titties for those biddies. Yeah, just like you do over at twitch.tv/Sean Capri.
Please stop.
You ever seen me do that? You ever been around when somebody throws me biddies?
I'm glad I don't.
Everybody understands there's a nice big reward for throwing those biddies.
I'm sure apparently there is.
Just grab my titties.
Okay, let's just stop it.
I'm just here to make you disappointed in me.
Yeah, well, that doesn't take much, apparently.
I know. It's so fun.
Let's kick this episode off like we do each and every episode with our shoutouts.
Geek outs. Oh, Bobby. Actually, I don't think I have geek outs this week. You can just go straight to shoutouts. I think that's it.
I was going to anyway, but whatever.
There's really not much.
My first shout out is for Mr. Ryan Turford. He is actually going to be recording with me tomorrow night.
What?
We're doing. Goofy me just got this whole idea that I am going to just record with a bunch of people and do E3 prediction conversations.
Yeah.
And I did one with Joe after work this week. That'll go up this coming week. And then I reached out to Ryan. I was like, hey, man, I ain't talked to you in a while. You want to come on and do a thing?
I love it.
Yeah, man. So he's going to do one. N64 Josh is supposed to do one with me. What I'm hoping to do is the entire week before E3, which would be kind of next week. Every day have one come up.
Boom.
And just have all these people. It's been really like the one with Joe after work. Holy cow. Such a great conversation.
He's a smart and handsome man.
Well, what I started to do was I told them bring 5 topics or 5 predictions.
Yeah.
And then you read your prediction and then we discuss it. What's the likelihood of it? Do we really believe it? Do we think that's the case? Do I think that's the case? And then we have this. And it's
so is it only like the guest brings are you having to come up with 5 every time?
I'm not bringing any more. I've already done my predictions over on Nintendo PlayStation. So if you're listening, because that's what I want to tell people. Like, if you're listening to the show, it's not the same things at week after week after week. It's like, okay, Bobby, you've already done 5 of these prediction shows. How many times do I have to hear you say Animal Crossing is going to be coming? You know what I mean? Like, people don't want to hear that. But my feeling was I bring somebody in, I collaborate with somebody, I get to hear their predictions, and then kind of what I kind of love about it is we've all listened to prediction shows.
Yeah.
Right? We've all had someone making predictions. And then you go like, no, that would never happen because of this. I get to do that. I get to go like, that's a good idea. I never even thought of that. Oh my God, I hope that happens. Or I don't know if that's even going to be close.
Yeah.
You know, so it's kind of cool to be in that position. The Justin Massa one was really good. I felt like that was a good conversation, and I felt with Josh Thomas, that was a little bit more he predicts, I predicts type thing.
Right.
the one with Joe after work is straight up. He brings 5 predictions. The one that I'm going to record with Ryan tomorrow is he's bringing 5 predictions, and that's just the way I'm going to continue to do it. Is just have people, doing stuff. So I want to get a few more people. We'll see what happens.
That's good stuff, man. I love it. It reminds me of you're coughing. It makes me clear my throat.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. You're fine. It reminds me of the Gamercast that we did last year, and we applied like multipliers to them. Because there was like 3 or 4 of us doing the shows, right? And so one person would give their prediction, and then everybody else would weigh in on like, is this definitely going to happen? Is it given? And you get like no multiplier, you get like a score of like 1. Or if it's like this outlandish thing, you'd be like, no way, man, the odds are 1 in a million. So if they get it, then they get the odds of 1 in a million. You get like some multiplier score. Yeah, it was a good time, man. I'm glad you're doing this.
It was cool. But what I kind of thought was this might be my thing that I do every year now. It's like this would be so people would look forward to like, hey, Bobby's conversations with all these numerous collaboration guests, and it's people you wouldn't really think of me to talk to too much. Like I talk to so many people all the time, and I feel like Ryan is one that like I had such a fantastic conversation with him.
Ryan's the dude, man.
And
he's so awesome.
Yeah, he's so intelligent, man. So I would love to just sit down with him and be like, okay, let's kick some knowledge back.
You guys will be a lot of fun to listen to because you both have memories that are just incredible. Like you both have photographic memories. I don't know how you do it.
I don't have. But trust me.
Maybe your short-term memory. Maybe your short-term memory can be a little.
My short term's trash. My long-term is.
Yeah, man, you remember stuff like vividly from a long time ago.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
nice.
What about you? You got a shout out over there?
I have a shout out to Joseph Moran, Mr. Badbit, and Kyle Stevenson because I was on the Trophy Room, the PlayStation podcast made by the players for the players. You guys can go ahead and rate it 5 stars on iTunes. Shout out to not only those guys, but also shout out to everybody who listened to it because guess what? Your boy was just on the #1 most downloaded day 1 podcast in the Trophy Room's history. That was a weird way to say it. They've never had more downloads in one day than my episode on the Trophy Room. So guess who's taking over the Xbox Drive? If we ran Nintendo and the Trophy, I'm all over the place, baby. Just like Phil Spencer, just taking over the Land of Video Game podcast. What's up? I'm just kidding. Thanks guys for having me on. It was super sweet. It was a great time.
I want to give a shout out to Delvin Cox. So Delvin just
Patreon.
He just started a Patreon. I was the first guest on a brand new podcast. It's a Patreon exclusive podcast, and I love spending time with Delvin. He's such a good guy. And what we did was we actually broke down the Mike Tyson Buster Douglas fight.
Yeah, man.
And gave our memories of the fight and talked about it and like got in depth with it. It was a lot of fun, man. So go check out Delvin's work, man. He has the Delvin Cox Experience. He does stuff with Skyward King, Joey, and
Skyward Cast,
and just go check out their work. They're doing fantastic
and
stuff.
I'll be on that show very shortly. My episode should air any minute now, probably maybe even next week. It was supposed to go up right after the Patreon. So
yeah,
that's sweet, man. We're both you guys can check out Bobby and me over on the Delvin Cox stuff. Stuff. I like it.
Good stuff.
I like it a lot.
You have another shout out?
I have another one. I have something hilarious, Bobby. I know it's way past your bedtime to check out Twitch.tv.
I don't have to work tomorrow, so
no, I know, but like on Thursday nights, it's past your bedtime by the time I stream at twitch.tv/Sean Capri. But yesterday I played a little bit of video games, but I spent a lot of time. I just popped up the Nintendo Dads podcast because they go live at about the same time that I stream. So I want to give a shout out to the Nintendo Dads because all I did, they got the 4 of them on there, right? They had Tim on there. He was a guest. They had Justin, then they had Jesse, and they had Marty. And so while Marty was talking, I just took the little like cutout of myself and I put it over top of Marty's. And I pretended I was on the Nintendo Dads, and I told everybody in my chat to go over into their chat and say, we're watching you at twitch.tv/Sean Capri. So they let them know what I was doing. Justin Masson comes over to the Twitch channel, and him and I are like locked eyes. It was so weird that I'm looking at him on his stream. He's off in Ireland or whatever. He's another lifetime away. And I'm talking about being on their show, and I'm basically talking to him. And I'm realizing that he's not paying any attention to the Nintendo dads anymore. He's listening to me. So we have like this moment, and like the latency is perfect. Like it's just very low. So I make a comment, and I can see just a couple seconds. Then he reacts to it, and I'd be like, "Wave if you're listening," and he gets a little wave in there and everything. So we're having like this conversation, this sort of like weird. Oh, dude, it was the funniest thing. I was crying. So I think the video is still probably up at twitch.tv/Sean Capri. It was an amazing time. So shout out to Justin Masson. I had so much fun. And lastly, Andrew Samichek. You know what you did for me, my friend, and I appreciate it to the end of time, man. More on that to come, but I don't want to jinx it just yet.
So I got a couple. I have a few more shout outs.
Oh, here I am rushing through it. Justin Masson.
No, I'm not. Whatever. The next one is for Todd Oxtra and Mark Carabin.
Seriously.
Who they've been killing it with this
really have.
Mm-hmm. These guys are fantastic. Mm-hmm. And if you haven't had a chance, go check it out. It's a Secret Friends Unite co-op mode that they're doing. Both really intelligent, well-spoken podcasters. Mm-hmm. Love them both to death. And I'm so happy to see them doing this and having a good time with it, and it's really, really awesome.
I think it's big for Todd and for Mark too, man. For them to come forces combine and have that extra, just something different for the Secret Friends Unite feed. Yeah. I love it, man. I think it's great. I think people are gonna, in discovering that, they're gonna discover Secret Friends Unite. Yeah,
I was so heartbroken when the Warp Whistle went away, because that was next to We the Gamercast. That was my favorite podcast.
I listened to it first day every time.
Every single time I listened to them too. And then when it went away, I kind of, I kind of felt bad that it disappeared like the way it did. And I understand it. I get it totally. But I'm so glad to see that they're doing something. And it's pretty awesome. And then I got one more that I want to give to Mr. Kevin Austin. I know that he had a little bit of a trying time last week. He lost a friend to the family and a pet, for nobody personally, like a real person died, but it was a pet. And I know that he was posting some stuff and he was pretty upset about it. So I just want to let you know, like, man, if you need anything, I'm here, and I love you to death, bro. And that's pretty much it.
On that note, same thing for our very good friend, Lee Navarro.
Yes. Oh,
that
my
sucks,
God,
man.
yes.
That really sucks.
Yeah, it's the worst, man. It's the worst.
We're thinking of you guys.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so let's jump into a couple topics that we have for today. First topic is, if we ran Nintendo, what accessories / new Labo kits would we offer moving forward? That's the one thing that everybody, I think, has noticed. It's funny because before the Switch launched,
I knew you were going to say
I remember reading an article from Ubisoft. It wasn't from Ubisoft, but it was a Ubisoft president was talking about it, and he said Switch is going to be very much like the Wii in terms of all the accessories you could have and all the stuff you could buy. And that's the craziness that is Switch is. Everybody during the Wii U era was like, oh, thank God we don't have all these accessories, and I was tired of all the wheel and the nunchucks, and now we're back to it again, and nobody's saying anything right now. They're actually asking for more accessories. And so I kind of thought, you threw at me the question about the Labo kits, and I threw the accessories, and I was like, well, let's combine the two, because they kind of coincide a little bit.
Plus, really, Labo, all you really want to do is build a garbage can, build out a cardboard, and then light it on fire so it could truly be the hot trash in the summer that you claim it is.
It's, man, it's weird. I know the kits aren't for me.
Yeah.
And I will say this. I built the VR goggles. I think the building and all that stuff is ingenious. I think it's like Lego sets.
Yeah.
Essentially. If you like building Legos, you would love this stuff. And I personally love building Legos. I got to one point when I first got married to Tony and we had gone to Disney World for our honeymoon. I got into buying these big $150 Lego sets of like these stores and all this stuff. And it was building a city. And I had like 4 or 5 sets that I built. It got so in depth that I was loving it. And when I was building the VR kit, I was like, man, this just took me right back to that. I actually bought 3 kits. The only thing I built so far is the VR goggles. And like I said, I feel like what you build is very sturdy, very well done. The cardboard is unbelievably strong. But it's just, the problem is that you make these things and the games mean nothing to it.
Right. So I feel like you end up with this hunk of cardboard that really on its own doesn't do anything, and then and it's supposed to pair up with a game that isn't really all that exciting, regardless of I think where you are in your gaming life. So the very first thing that comes to mind, because I don't know how much time we're going to spend on Labo, but the first thing that comes to mind for me is like thinking about when you talk about Lego and the journey that went on. They went from just pieces that click together to licenses.
Yeah.
And I think that that's going to be the secret sauce of Labo, whether it's first-party licenses or movies or something else. I think that there should be a tie-in so that if you're not playing with it, you still end up with like this awesome thing that you're like is like a representation. It's that physical manifestation of the nerdiness that you love.
Yeah,
I think that's probably one of the biggest things that I would suggest.
It's probably the thing. I mean, like I could totally see if they were to do something where you built lightsabers and there was like a lightsaber battle on screen and you have like, you know, the cardboard, because then you could see the kids playing with the lightsabers beyond, you know, what's actually on the screen. The thing is this is the little bit of time that I got to play with VR. I think the VR is pretty impressive. What I spent time with. I'm just sad that I got so sick from playing it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't nauseous sick. It was I felt a headache coming on.
I've had that.
And that's the preliminary steps for me to start getting nauseous. So I shut it down right away. I think I told you this. My mom and my cousin played it, and they were laughing out loud, loving it. My mom was like, "This is so cool." Like, she loved every second of it. The problem with my mom was, and the problem with Labo is, if you're playing with someone that's new to games, like my mom, I couldn't explain what to do because I couldn't see the screen.
Right.
So I couldn't tell her, like, well, you got to do this, you got to do that.
Yeah.
Like, I can't. And she's asking me, like, what do I do? Where do I go? And then she's just laughing because she's realizing, like, the little characters running around the stage and doing stuff. But I think what they were able to accomplish is pretty impressive. I think that the problem with Labo VR is, without a doubt, the resolution on the screen is not strong enough to really be able to handle VR. So that said, I want to try what I really want to try, because I did buy the vehicle kits, and I did buy the first one. I want to get in there and do like the motorcycle and try it with Mario Kart, because I think that might be the one that makes it fun for me to actually try. But we'll see. It might not be, but who knows? But yeah, I don't know that anything's really. There's nothing that I want to see with Labo. I think they basically gave it a good run.
You think, so would you cut it at this stage? Like, are you done with it? They're so profitable. Like, that's the crazy thing. Like, they're selling cardboard at $90 a piece.
I know, but the thing is are they making money? It's not. The hard thing is, so in Japan, I know they're doing really well with Labo. Like, really well with Labo. In the United States, it's not doing that well. In Europe, it's horrible.
Oh, wow, is it?
Yeah, it's not horrible, but it's not, I don't think, where they want it to be.
Sure.
I don't think, if I'm not mistaken, the VR didn't chart in the United States. I think it did chart like 20th in Europe, and in Japan it was way up there. Like, it was like the top 5 or something like that.
Do you think that it's trying too hard? Like this is where I wonder, because they've set their Nintendo Ninja Genius on this stuff, and they come up with a piano, for God's sakes, and all these different like contraptions. And I think about, like, what if they just sort of combine a lot of the plastic accessories that you had on the Wii with this, so that you have like attachments or things that kind of build off of motion controls that you have with the Joy-Cons. So if you had like a Hylian shield and a Master Sword set, and then that's how you play Zelda with because you had that, right? You had a shield that strapped in, and you had like Guitar Hero. You'd have the Wii remote go into the guitar, and that's how like you lift it up and get all the motion control stuff. So I don't know if like that's part of it, and maybe that's a little bit more understandable for people. I wonder if it's not doing as well, not just because it's just cardboard, but maybe it's just a little too much, maybe too advanced.
It could be, and I think the other problem is it takes a while to build stuff.
But that's honestly, when I hear that, I'm like, that actually makes it worthwhile for me to want to buy it, because I would want it, like, because I actually have zero interest in the game itself. But if it means like Lincoln and I can spend like an afternoon like folding cardboard together, like that sounds awesome to me.
Yeah, and yeah, I get that. I see where you're saying.
Not at $90 though. I mean,
well,
got lots of boxes from Amazon we could be.
Yeah, but you know what, man? The VR wasn't 90. The VR you could buy it for 40. You know what I mean? And dude, you could buy the other kits. I paid $20 a piece for the other kits, so you can grab them on sale pretty cheap.
Then I'm just left with just weird like cardboard thingy that like I look at a lot of the Lego that we've got around and the Amiibo. Like these are, at least for me, maybe it's different strokes for different folks kind of thing. But like this is, I feel like what we have behind us is like this celebration and the things that we get really excited about. There's nothing to be excited about with Labo. I think that's probably the biggest issue with it.
I think
there's the physical cardboard itself.
I think there's a couple of cool items. I feel like the VR goggles are really cool. That's something I will display on my shelf behind me at some point. I feel like the piano is pretty cool. I feel like the house is pretty cool. I don't know.
No doubt they're not cool. I'm not saying that they're not cool.
What I mean by that is I feel like they're cool display pieces that you could put on your shelves, and it's like, oh, that's kind of cool looking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't think that the other stuff, the fishing rod and all that stuff, who cares about that stuff?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's whatever. So I don't think that Nintendo's done.
Yeah.
With Labo VR yet? Not by any. Well, but with Labo, they just put a video out this week where they were going over it and breaking it down and explaining it and stuff. You don't do that if you're getting ready to exit. Although, the funny thing was, I noticed that the views weren't very high on the video.
Yeah.
So it was struggling a bit.
That's crazy, man. I know there were a lot of polarizing views on it to start, but I really thought that this was going to be a thing. Just because of the way,
was going to be one too, yeah.
Right, just the way that the Switch was, like the trajectory of the Switch, and everybody seemed to be just buying whatever Nintendo was selling at the time, and this seemed like the next thing. But maybe not, man. But what about accessories? You want to jump over to accessories?
Accessories, I definitely have a few that I think. I mean, first off is I would put out a new Pro controller.
Oh, of course.
With a built-in headphone jack right in the base of it. I feel like that's a necessity.
Yep,
I feel like people want it, and I feel like as well that it's something that you're into year 2. The Switch is doing strong. There's no reason why you shouldn't have it. It's, for me that's streaming, it is such a pain. To have to go behind the TV and plug in when I could literally just plug into the controller and be able to stream and hear and be. I don't know. It might cut the sound off to the console. If that's the case,
that's the way PlayStation works, and that is so I just get there's a whole bunch of the ways around that.
Yeah. So that's the first one that I would do.
My first one is a new dock. I want a Pro dock or a second dock or something like that. And probably the biggest thing that I would be looking for there, Bobby, is I'm gonna say this before I even jump into what the specifics about the dock. I think it's kind of a pain in the butt. As portable as the Switch is, it seems like if I wanted to move it from TV to TV or from room to room, or if I want to travel with it and go to a hotel or something and plug it in, of all my systems, I find the Switch the hardest to do that. Because they just have too many pieces. I've got the dock, and I think it's a pain in the butt. I don't like it. I don't think that it all fits. It doesn't travel well. I don't think. So
I'll disagree with you on that, but go ahead.
So one of the biggest things, one of the biggest reasons I would say that is because of it's restricted in terms of its posture, its position. It's always standing up. I remember Jose Otero said this right from the start, and I thought he was being kind of a nitpicky kind of brat about it. But ever since then, I'm like, this would be so much better if we had options. I would like to have either stand up like it does, or if it could sit down or something. I'd like to have a little bit more options in terms of what it does or how it sits.
I thought I saw, a dock that actually, yes, there's a hold on. Let me see something here. There's a couple docks out now. Of course, it's not Nintendo. So ultimately you would like it to be Nintendo because if something happens, it doesn't work. But there's a couple of docks, one from Nyko that actually it has a wedge shape to it, so you could tilt it back.
Exactly.
And it would work better on, you could put it under in a home console or whatever, and it'll work better.
I would almost want it so that like you push down and it clicks, and that would allow you to tilt it. And then it can kind of click into place at any of the angles, all the way from 90 degrees all the way down to sitting flat against a table. The other thing that I would want out of this thing is a built-in Ethernet. I don't want to use an adapter. I want to be able to plug this thing hardwired into
internet. I don't understand why that didn't happen at all. I thought that was a silly thing for Nintendo to drop the ball with and not do that properly.
I mainly find all the ports in the back, because I may be in the minority on this one, because I'm constantly unplugging, plugging things in because I'm streaming, right? So if I've only got the one, I don't have anything connected to a switcher. So flipping open the back flap on the to access the HDMI and the USB and everything back there, kind of a pain. I find it really difficult to. So something to address those issues, Bobby, I think would be kind of nice.
The one thing that I feel like with the dock that I would add to it is some type of way to grab a signal or do something with Bluetooth. And I don't know whether a dock could do that or not, but I feel like...
Right, so like instead of... Because if the Switch is not going to magically have Bluetooth, so can you add that capability with the dock?
But I felt like is it a way to add it to the dock itself? Smart. So then this way, when I'm docking it, I can use Bluetooth headsets.
Right.
Because think about it, you really don't need Bluetooth headsets when you're holding it in your hands.
Yep.
In handheld mode. You need it when it's docked.
Yeah.
So to me, that makes the most sense.
I want Bluetooth when I'm handheld because I want it on the train. Like if I'm in public, I want to use a headset.
Well, I'm saying you could just plug in a headset to it. I get why you might want, if you have one set of headsets, whatever.
Yeah.
You have multiple headsets. I know you do, but I'm just saying. I understand maybe perhaps the want of the Bluetooth, but I'm saying a lot of these adapters that you see are only for handheld.
Right.
And I feel like this would be a nice option for docked and basically go. You know
I fully anticipate whatever the next Switch is going to have Bluetooth. So in which case, that's actually really smart for you to say that, because then it kind of creates a little bit more, it makes it the same for everybody. So if you want Bluetooth, you don't necessarily have to upgrade to the next Switch. You could kind of go halfway with this. Now, Bobby, I don't know if you remember this, but before the Switch came out, back when it was the NX, there was rumors about Nintendo playing along with the video streaming, sort of the video technology that they developed with the Wii U, where they essentially took the video from the main unit and then they displayed it on a remote, the gamepad. So it was like this form of wireless video broadcasting to a specific screen, and that led people to believe, I don't remember if it was just a rumor or if there was a patent for there to be like essentially wireless HDMI. So in the TV you would have like an HDMI dongle, and it would act like your wireless mouse. You got the thing connected to your computer, and then your mouse knows to operate through that.
Yeah.
So I would love an accessory that has essentially is a wireless video connection. Again, like I think it's a pain in the butt, as portable as this thing is, to move the Switch from down here to upstairs. I think it would be really cool to have some sort of like wireless, essentially just take the Wii U technology and put it on Switch. For
me, I don't think it's an issue to move the Switch around. That's just my opinion. But I feel like the advantage that I've come across is I've got multiple docks in the house. That makes it even easier.
I mean, maybe that's the number one reason they would never want to do that, because they've got
possibly because I literally have 3 TVs with docks hooked to them.
And it might not be more difficult than, I'm sorry to interrupt, it might not be more difficult than others. I want to articulate this a little better. I think it's because it's a portable system that I expect it to be super easy. That it's sort of like, it's a little jarring to me that I look at this thing where I can just, I put it in the dock, it's on my TV, I pick it up on the go, and like that part is easy, but then to move it, I feel like should be easier as well.
I feel like moving it is no different than moving a PS4.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but I think maybe my mind is like playing tricks on me, and that the rest of it is so smooth.
Yeah, because I mean, like I literally took the thing to E3. I took the dock. I actually took my Ojo, so Like, to me, there's really not an issue with that.
But how cool would it be if you went in handheld mode, you put a little thing in the USB-C at the bottom, and then you put an HDMI little dongle in your TV, and that's how you got it to your TV.
Yeah, kind of like a Fire Stick or something.
Yes, thank you. Yes, exactly.
The last thing, well, at least for me, anyway, you might have more, but for me, the one thing that I've wanted since the minute this thing's launched is Pro Joy-Cons.
Yeah.
I want to have Joy-Cons that have analog sticks on them that are identical to the Pro Controller. I want bigger, meatier buttons on the right side. On the left side, I want a D-pad, and I want them to lean into it. And even if it's a little bit bigger, like if they're a little bit meatier, I don't care. Those things do not feel... I do not want to play with them in my hands by themselves. I hate Joy-Cons by themselves.
They were always meant, from the moment we saw that trailer back in the October before the Switch came out, the Joy-Cons always look like, in a pinch, these will do. You're in a car and like you just want to play with friends, totally reasonable. Like at least you have that as an option. But as a go-to, I'm with you, man.
I mean, like if I use it with my Satisfy grip, I don't have any problem using
that
it.
name.
But if I'm using them by themselves, detached, I hate it. Now, I did play a lot of Breath of the Wild that way because I used to play tabletop mode when I was at work at my last job during my lunch breaks. I'd break it out and play Breath of the Wild right there for 30 minutes. But that said, now I don't, for some reason, I can't play that way. And you would think that I would love to play that way because I would love to just be like vegging on the chair.
Totally, hands off to the side.
One on one side. But it just...
It's better for your shoulders to play like that. Because when you play with the controller, your shoulders rolling forward. It's bad for your back and your chest and everything. It's not good.
But I'm just not. I'm not feeling it with.
So what would you do with what would you do with a Pro Joy-Con grip? I feel like that's probably something that maybe comes along with this. There's something to be added there. I love my Elite controller with the paddles on the back. I feel like that's game changing. I don't know if Nintendo like really takes it to the next level.
I mean, how cool would it be to have the Joy-Con grip with the paddles on the back and all that stuff, and then you just dock the two grips and then you go? Be kind of cool. It would be. I bought the I don't know if you've heard about this thing. I don't even know where it is. It's someplace in the house. The Satisfy grip, right?
Yeah.
Came out with a mini, and it's basically the Joy-Con grip, but it's
interesting.
But it basically has the offset handles as well as like. So whatever they did with the big one with the offset handles, they've done it on the shrunken version. It actually is a lot better than the Joy-Con grip. I like it a lot. It's not that bad.
I tried the Joy-Con grip maybe like once or twice. And wasn't there like a charging Joy-Con grip as well?
Yeah, that was basically the one. That's the one that came with the Switch.
It wasn't charging, was it? I thought there was another one. I think
there might
was
have been
just
another
a hunk of plastic that came with the Switch, and then there
was
the
one that comes with the Switch isn't really that. Yeah, I know. Yeah. There was one that was a charging.
The last thing really quickly that I had was a sort of similar to a new dock, but I think it would be I would want to enhance tabletop mode a little bit. Chelsea and I have been playing a lot of tabletop mode, and that's where this comes up. And we both want a better kickstand. Like kickstand is great. Again, in a pinch, I'm stoked that I've got it. But she also has a Surface, Microsoft Surface, like the iPad thing, and they've really improved the kickstand on that to the point where like the first version is just like it popped out and that was it. And now it basically articulates all the way to 180 degrees. So like depending on if you need a little bit more stability, it can reach out a little bit farther. And I would also want it to have a charging built-in battery pack with it, so you can play tabletop mode and it's charging it the entire time. You
know what I use that is crazy, but it's one of the coolest things ever. It came with the Nintendo, came with the Wii U.
Yeah, something like that.
This is what you used for the gamepad. You could set the gamepad in this. This was the non-charging dock.
Yep.
So you could literally set the gamepad in there and do whatever, and it's a perfect grip. It really is. Like it sits everything. I have one in my bedroom and one here. I use them a lot for my cell phone. I put my cell phone in there just so I can, whatever. But it also works with the Switch as well. So, I have a couple of basically like portable stands or tabletop stands that work really well with the Switch. I have my big one down low shelf, the arcade cabinet that I built of the Splatoon 2 arcade cabinet.
So sweet.
That's one of my favorite ones. But yeah, I agree. The kickstand is not very. It feels very flimsy. Feels very weak. But to each their own. I don't really. I stopped playing tabletop mode, just because I had no time to play that way. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have that experience the way I used to. So there was a time that I played it that way all the time, and, and I'm with you. I'm totally with you.
Well, and with kids running around, and with Nintendo being for families, like, it needs to be a little bit more sturdy. If you need to set that thing up in a pinch, if you had something that made it like super stable, and you're able to play it for a little bit longer. Now, like, what I was starting to think about was, remember the Game Boy with the magnifying glass? Like, okay, if you're playing in tabletop, that screen isn't very big, so get a giant. Like back in the 90s.
I think the thing that Nintendo has to their advantage right now is the fact of it's a console that's selling like crazy. We know we're going to see other iterations. It gives Nintendo the ability to sit back and go, okay, what are people complaining about? Let's fix these things. You think about the original DS. I think it was garbage. That clamshell, basically looking, like it was a big gigantic pad with a little tiny flip there. And they basically went back and reinvented the wheel and was like, okay, now we're going to make it entirely open up like a book, that type of thing. I feel like this is the opportunity for Nintendo to come back with a Pro Switch or even a Mini Switch and go, okay, these are the changes we're offering. These are the things that we're doing differently now. Time will tell, ultimately. But I think I think with the next iteration, they'll start to get it. They'll start to get it right, essentially, and I think that's what we hope for.
I'm gonna do a quick callback to your topic from last week. I think where we talked about the retro market. The Super Game Boy, the little cartridge you put in your Super Nintendo, and then you put a little Game Boy thing in there. How cool would it be if you had one for every one of the retro systems, and just like a little USB plugged into the dock or something? So you actually could take your old cartridges and play it in there, and then it would play off of the actual cartridge. This is total like mad science kind of stuff, but that's why we play this game called If You're Nintendo. I think that would be sweet.
I tell you what would be sweet is if you could actually have something that plugs into the dock, right? And it's basically like the way I would look at it is it'd be a level probably about a couple inches high that you set the dock on top, it plugs in, and it has all these slots in the front, and you could put the 3DS cartridges in it, you could put DS cartridges in it, and it would give you the ability to play those games. Obviously you can't play every game because of touchscreen and all that.
Sure.
But, there are certain games like Animal Crossing, like Luigi's Mansion, like Mario Golf. All these games you could play, and it would open up Nintendo's library massively. And the only thing that I would say is games like the Zelda games, like, there was a couple of Zelda games that were touchscreen only games. Obviously you couldn't play those games. But for the most part, there's a lot of games that they could basically make it work.
Dude, I'm telling you, that idea gets me so jazzed because it actually would allow Nintendo to revitalize the dual screen as a viable option in the home in a console way. Like the Wii U it should have worked, and people should never have been asking about like, why do we need this gamepad thing? Because the DS and 3DS had been out for a decade at that stage, and they had already solved that issue. So now that we play the Switch as a gaming console and handheld first, everybody understands it. They get that part. They could add that on as like, just like I said, that little dongle, the Fire Stick thing would essentially make it a Wii U. It would essentially make it a DS, but nobody's going to be. It's not built in. It's not like they're not forcing it to you. It's not like Kinect with the Xbox. It's this additional accessory that will open up a library of DS games if you wanted to, or they could have separate games that they could do with two screen experiences. I don't want to go away from I think that the two screen experience is a good one.
And one thing I'm going to say, because I guarantee you there's someone that's going to say, you can't do two screen. You can't do two screen. It's go back, because you obviously never played the Wii U.
Yeah.
Because the Wii U opened up to a bunch of games from the DS and all that stuff where they actually on the screen put two screens. So it can be done. And if you want to go handheld mode, you basically, if Nintendo puts out their own flip grip, I don't know if you saw this, it's basically where you turn the Switch to the side, you slide it in, and then you hold it, and you can play games like
vertical.
Tetris and stuff vertically. So, and guess what? When you turn the Switch side vertically, you could put a screen on the top and a screen on the bottom. You could play it.
It'd be perfect.
It'd be no problem. It'd be perfect. It really would.
Mm-hmm.
And you would have the touchscreen experience as well. So I don't think there's any reason why you couldn't do it. Honestly, I don't know. We'll see how things work out.
Maybe the next Switch will be using those the foldable screens that phones are trying to do now that are failing all over the place. But that would be kind of cool. The new clamshell model using foldable screens.
They're cool, but man, those things they missed the mark on them big time.
I feel like phones, it makes no sense, and I wasn't even sold. I'm still not really sold on it because I will never buy one. But I had a wow moment when I saw somebody like playing a game just with the crappy like touch controls and everything, and everything is so tight, and then they're like, what if, and it just folds right open, and the game just automatically resizes, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. And it was gaming. It was gaming that did that. I'm like,
it's cool.
Yeah,
it's cool. I just don't see.
I feel like Nintendo's the only one who would make that work.
Well, of course, there's a lot.
That's neither here nor there, I suppose. That's a fun topic, Bobby.
Unless you're doing Mario Kart, then they don't really apparently know what the hell they're doing with that on mobile. Anyway, that was a good topic. We have a second topic, and I think this was going to be a lot of fun too. If we ran Nintendo, what would we bring to eSports? Huge thing right now. It's what everybody is doing. Everybody's playing games in these massive tournaments and all this stuff. And I feel like if Nintendo was to jump in, it would add absolute legitimacy to the sport. Nintendo could do it in a big bad way that it would it could be aired on ESPN. It would have its own channel. It could do all kinds of crazy stuff. I could literally see Nintendo doing pay-per-view events where you have these massive tournaments. And I guarantee you people would pay to see it. Because here's the way that I would do it.
You're
and I was thinking about this today. Is the first thing that I would do is, first game is Smash. And what I would do is I would start off with each territory gets its own championship.
Yep.
So you do Japan, you do United States or North America, you do Europe, and then what happens is there's maybe like a 3 or 4 month tournament that goes on.
Are you reading off my page right now? Like, this is ridiculous.
I don't know. And you treat it maybe like baseball or football where you have not say brackets, but you have like win-loss records. And you work your way up, and then they take the top 16
and they
do it and they do it. But then once you get each region gets their championships, once a year you do this massive event where all the champions come together and you do a world championship.
That's what is on my page.
And I think that Nintendo could crush it with this. And I think that, like I said, they could either do one of two things. They could start their own network, a la the WWE network.
Yes.
But I don't know if that works because I don't think that the rest of the programming is lacking.
I can see them getting there. I don't know if that you launch with that, but I think you're absolutely right modeling WWF like back in the day. Yeah. And because the thing that esports I think is missing is that it's not necessarily, it doesn't feel like a family event. Like it's the most hardcore people going to go crazy over their favorite players. But Nintendo has the magic to invite like parents and their kids to go enjoy some video games that likely the parents play back in the day and the kids are enjoying now. And making it less of a like hardcore event and more of a Nintendo type of magical event. Yeah. Kind of like Disney on Ice or something, but for this. And I'm exactly with you on a world championship.
The other thing I would do is I would do same thing with Splatoon, where you get a team and you have basically each region gets whatever, and you treat that very similar to sporting events, where once every 2 weeks or whatever, you get together. Here's the top 15 top 20 teams in the country, and this one is going to play this one, and you have all these different matches. Go, done. The next thing that I would do it is Mario Kart, and I would treat it like an actual racing thing, where each week you put together the 40 best racers in the country, and they just race for an hour in tournaments, and you see who gets ranked the top whatever, and then boom, you get so many points for finishing first, second, third, whatever. Then the next week they do it again, and the way to change it up is I would do it is I want to do this with us. I want to get it together in the Discord. We probably will at some point, but I want to do like 1 week, everybody races in a tournament. You take the points, you got them. Next week, you do it with, you're only going to use red shells as the items. So you race, and it's strictly red shells. Then the next week you race, it's only blue shells. Next week you race, no items. Next week you race, it's just lightning bolts. And you just see who can last the longest and who can build the most points and win the championship. But I feel like if any company can do it, it's Nintendo. That's the company that, when you look at it, no other company is sponsoring tournaments. Game company, I mean. You know what I mean? Like, game...
Like
I mean,
the platform, you mean there's the games themselves, like the Overwatch League, things like that.
Yes. You have stuff like that, but you don't have a company that's going like, hey, we are going to sponsor television events, we're going to pay the athletes, because they can sign these kids to contracts and be like, listen, this is what you're going to do. You're going to pay... We're going to pay you X amount of money per year. And then as far as endorsements and stuff, go get them. Go get your endorsements. Go knock yourself out. And I think that you have the ability to, just like baseball, just like football, just like hockey, just like soccer, just like basketball, you have these like a LeBron James, right? LeBron James, he plays basketball. He's paid a certain salary to play. But then, by the way, he's sponsored by Nike and all these different companies, and he's paid more money. And you could essentially see this becoming a thing over time. Like, dude, if bowling is on TV, why in the world is Nintendo not backing something like this?
I feel like that is the ultimate pitch for any esport. Anytime anybody has any issue with, like, oh, why would anybody watch people play video games as a sport? Like, yeah, billiards and bowling. So just take it easy there. The other thing, too, is like maybe people might be rolling their eyes at the notion of esports. I think people our age maybe miss the boat a little bit on esports and are finding it a little bit tricky to get into. But I think we can all agree that it would be beneficial for Nintendo to lead the world in this, in that that those personalities that you talk about would have to be like Nintendo friendly almost. Like that it almost be like the Disney, the Mickey Mouse Mouseketeers or whatever. Like they're always like family friendly, but then they grow up to be like sexy people anyways. But if they started out like very wholesome, that would be a really, really good icon, I think, for video games, so that we have these role models, these people that we can, I don't know, kids can look up to or admire without feeling kind of sticky or gross about it. He's just like, what's Ninja's good, he's fine, but everybody's kind of like weary about him, you know. So, but you would know that people playing Nintendo games, I think I feel like Nintendo would have some sort of rules around it, which I would be perfectly okay with. There's so many.
How cool would it be to be like, hey, here's Wii Sports golf, and like,
golf is amazing, or even Mario Golf.
Well, yeah, but I was thinking, like, if you had them actually playing golf, so to speak,
that'd be insane.
That would be crazy. You know, the Wii U, that golf. I don't know if you played golf on the Wii U.
No,
it was really
that was the
cool.
first thing I ever saw of it. Was that demo?
Oh my god, dude! The ball was actually on the gamepad. You put the gamepad on the floor.
Yeah.
And then, depending on if you were in grass or fairway or in the sand traps, it actually showed on the screen.
That's what
everybody's so cool.
Everybody's geeking out about everybody's golf and PlayStation VR right now, because it's essentially that experience. You look down and that whole thing. I forgot what I was going to say next, Bobby. You totally cut me off, you son of a gun. Golf. Yeah. Golf offers, I think, a really cool model that they could, and tennis as well, where you have like different majors throughout the year. So you're having tournaments and stuff, but then you have like these big ones, the ones that matter. And I think that ties in a little bit with the WWE pay-per-view that you were kind of talking about. You have like your week to week, you have your stuff that's happening, and people are earning points along the way, and they're jockeying for position. And then like quarterly or whatever it is, a few times for the year, something big happens. Yeah. And like there's like UFC has this as well. I don't know why we haven't really got this in esports, and maybe we do, and we're just kind of too dumb about it.
Well, the one that I'll say that does it right is Fortnite. Like, you log into Fortnite, and there is tournaments happening every week.
Yep.
And it's just you log in, and you got to score so many points to qualify, and you have to do all this stuff to qualify. And then once you hit a certain point, they go, okay, tournament time. And the tournaments are maybe once a month, once every 2 months. And you play, and you can win money. And then eventually they do these big events at like PAX East or PAX South, where they invite all the players to come and they all play live.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is impressive. Like, you see what Epic is doing, and I look at it and I go, man, this is impressive.
But they're also they've got Fortnite money, so they can fund the entire thing. And so somebody may correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I believe the way that the Overwatch League is more like football and hockey and baseball, where you have individual owners who fund their franchise.
Yeah.
And so it's basically and it's located like by city. So you have like that hometown crowd. So you have like that's something that I think generally esports doesn't really have. Is like how do you go like our team, like my guy? You basically just choose like some dude who lives in like San Francisco or somewhere across the world.
But that's because we don't know who the hell these people are. But if Nintendo was to put a spotlight on them, and every week or two,
I mean, sure, but you got to lean on the hometown like local sports team.
Well, that's what you do. Like, I feel like Splatoon 2 would be that way. Like, you would go, here's a team from New Jersey, here's a team from whatever. Mm-hmm. And then that's what you basically, like, people would kind of pick their favorite teams and go that way.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like
NASCAR is another model that you could copy off of as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. But I feel like
when you a brand.
Exactly. But I feel like right now, they do it at E3, and it's like, I don't know who half these teams are.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But I know one thing. I think it's some of the most exciting stuff to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Because, honestly, dude, the Dota events and all that, like, I watch them, and I'm like, I don't know what the hell's going on here.
Yeah.
I have no idea what's going on. Like, okay, they're cheering. I guess that means you won. Okay. But Madden and stuff like that, I get that. I understand that. And I'm like, okay, this is kind of cool. Like, when they do Madden events, it's like, okay, I understand this.
Totally.
You know?
That actually brings me to one of my final points on this is when I watch esports, and a lot of people have been talking about this lately, and is the commentating, the play-by-play. It is not inviting to anybody. Nobody, you have got to be on speed. You got to know this game. You got to understand. It's not inviting, and that's where I think there's a huge opportunity for Nintendo, is to leverage that Nintendo Magic accessibility. And it would probably take its form in the presentation, but I think more so in the play-by-play. You need, and you just mentioned his name, John Madden, in his career as a play-by-play commentator, he would say some of the dumbest things.
Yeah.
He would say things that, like, if you knew anything about football, you're like, you get paid to say these things, but guess what? He introduced generations to football by explaining the rules and and kind of getting in the heads of what the players might be thinking in a very almost stupid way. Like, where he would say, like, if these guys don't get a touchdown, I don't know how they might win. Like, he says there's a website full of stupid John Madden quotes, but those are the types of things. That's the presentation that you actually need, I think, in esports to bring everybody in.
So the thing is this, right? You and I both, 2 years ago, I held a tournament on my YouTube channel.
Splatoon.
And literally, I just commentated the
Yep.
whole thing. I would put the two teams together. Okay, you guys are going to play right now. Go. And the Switch and Splatoon 2 put this crazy mode in there where you could follow the action as a commentator. And, like, that to me was them going, okay, we got this. We understand. Like, I don't understand how you offer that mode, right, in the controls. In your first initial trailer, you're showing Splatoon 2 in an esports capacity.
Yeah.
Like, not only that, man, why couldn't you do something with Pokemon? And I know that's a Pokemon company, but, like, man, they should lean into there and go, like, hey, man, here's the opportunity. Let's knock it out the park with this. Let's make it happen. Let's figure out a way to make a game that is for this. They could have had Pokken Tournament. Could have been another big fighting game that they could have done it with. ARMS kind of fell off pretty quickly.
But ARMS, that would be, honestly, I truly believe this. I'm not just saying this because this is our topic. I feel like ARMS in an esports kind of way is essentially what is how Street Fighter 2 and Mortal Kombat got popular back in the day. Was people checking out the best players at the arcade and trying to emulate the best players. And ARMS has that really great lobby that we've talked about numerous times that I think would play out really cool in, like, en masse if you had a whole bunch of teams and you threw them up into a lobby and then they just kind of got randomly matched up against each other and played the different types of matches that you like. If you did that in a uber competitive environment, because you'd have that moment of, like, who's going to be paired up with who's going to face off against who, which is total wrestling. Like,
And then,
who's
like,
coming in next at the Royal Rumble kind of thing.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden when two people that are really dominating, all of a sudden you see them get grabbed and they get thrown together, you could see people getting excited because, oh my God, there they go, they're going to fight.
Right?
Yeah, that'd be pretty awesome.
That would be
That
amazing.
would be pretty awesome, yeah. Yeah, I like that. So, that is all. Thank you guys for listening to another episode.
I had a Kirby comment.
I don't care. Thank you guys for listening and watching another episode of If We Ran Nintendo. We are getting ready to shut down now, but we have one more topic we're going to do. This is a Patreon exclusive topic, and you too can check it out if you just pledge $1 a month. $1 a month gets you to all kinds of stuff that we're doing that's exclusive to the Patreon. But this is one thing. We get Patreon members like Todd Oxtra, who says, what would you do with a franchise / games Nintendo really doesn't care about? Examples, Kid Icarus, F-Zero, Eternal Darkness. So right now, we're going to shut down the show, and then we're going to go do that topic. So if you want to check out everything that Sean Capri does on the internet, go over to Twitter's Sean Capri, Sean like Connor, Capri like the pants. Check me out. Twitter's, Instagram, at Nintendo Gurus. That is all. Peace out, Preston.
Kirby is a decent character in the Nintendo Pantheon. My name is Toby and play some video games. Do, 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 do.